Thanks, Jerry, from the rolling hills of Pennsylvania. We're in the cornfields of Iowa. We're in Newton. It's about a 40-minute drive northeast on I-80 from Des Moines. And this small little town is now a racing capital. In this state, this is the home of the inaugural running of the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Stephen Wallace has won here in an ARCA car. He's going to try and double up today. And also Kelly Byers would like to put his name in the record book. Who will do it? There's Trevor Bayne. Maybe at 18 he could become the youngest. Stay tuned to find out. And we welcome you to another picture-perfect weather day in Newton, Iowa. We're at the Iowa Speedway for the inaugural running of the NASCAR Nationwide Series as we're getting ready for qualifying. And you see the long row of cars. 50 are going to try and make the 43-car field. And you see those grandstands? Later this afternoon, all 58,000 seats will be filled. This race is a sellout. Let's get the latest from pit lane. We welcomed back Rick DeBrule yesterday, and we're going to put him back to work today. Hello, Rick.
Thanks, Marty. Stephen Light is hoping that yesterday's practice session can convert to a pole. He was fastest on the track yesterday. He'd love to see it be a pole today. If he did, it would be his first. So far, his best qualifying this year was 6th. His best career ever was a 3rd. Further up the lane, let's go to my partner, Jack Arute.
Thanks, Rick. You know, a week ago, the double-duty drivers really weren't concerned about qualifying because the pits were already predetermined, most of them, that is. But today, well, the double-duty drivers are going to rely on their replacements. Why? Because, Marty, all of the pits are up for grabs in qualifying here at Iowa.
All right, thanks, Jack and Rick. As we come topside, welcome Randy LaJoie and Rusty Wallace. Let's talk a little bit about the fact that there has been a lot of practice for these guys, 9 hours total. So everybody now knows what this 7/8 mile is all about, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Marty. No doubt about that. This particular racetrack is a new design. These guys haven't run on it with these particular rules in a long, long time. In fact, never. So yesterday, or sorry, Thursday, they had an open practice session all day long. It went really well. Yesterday, they had a lot of practice. So I really feel like they're prepared. They're up to speed. But I will tell you, there was a lot of changing going on in the garage area, but right now they feel comfortable.
Randy, what should we expect to see in qualifying?
Well, you know, there's a couple reasons you want to qualify in a pole. Not only that, you get the first pit stall pick that you heard that, but now again, your sponsors comes to the green flag first. 10 years from now, you're a trivia question, man. Who's the first pole winner at Iowa? It was that cat that was going to win it this afternoon.
And it's going to happen in about the next hour and a half or so right here at Newton, Iowa. Stay with us because later today at 4 Eastern, we'll have the race presented by GoDaddy.com over on ESPN. But don't go anywhere because when we come back, cars will be on track qualifying.
NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying, brought to you by Nationwide Insurance, official auto insurance partner of NASCAR, and Dickies, wear with purpose.
All right, back here at the Iowa Speedway, we're getting ready for qualifying as we have 25 states represented by this field of 50 drivers. In fact, it's the most cars attempting. It equals the mark of 2009 set at Lowe's Motor Speedway, which, if you were tuned in yesterday, may not be named Lowe's Motor Speedway much longer. 35 of the drivers have never won a Nationwide Series event. Maybe one of them is going to change it, and we'll explain more about the Nationwide Dash for Cash as time allows. Coleman Presley will be our first one out, son of Robert, the 20-year-old from Asheville, North Carolina.
This is making his nationwide debut today, and you know, he's just looking forward to it. He's a great late model driver, won tons of races back in Hickory and stuff like that. And Brad Daugherty and his dad grew up together, and Brad's a part owner in this thing.
I talked to Brad. I actually talked to Brad. He's excited about this opportunity.
Oh, I have a little problem with Rusty's mic. We'll get it figured out.
They just figured Rusty, you know, he talks so much and loud, he don't need a mic.
Well, we've just proven that he does not have the loudest volume voice in the country because it didn't go from coast to coast. 24.04 seconds for the first lap. And Rusty, you on board now?
Well, I think I've got this thing working now. I had it unplugged there a little bit accidentally. But no, talking about Coleman Presley, I was talking to Brad Daugherty. He's really excited to get Coleman in a car. He's promised him a ride. And this is a great chance for Coleman to get up here to the new Iowa Speedway and make some laps.
23.659 on his second lap. So as of right now, that will be the mark that everyone will shoot for. And as he coasts on into pit lane, let's check in with Rick DeBrule, who has caught up with Brad Keselowski.
Indeed, Brad Keselowski, who sat out yesterday's final session because the car felt so good. You slept on it, still happy with that decision?
Yeah, I think we've got a great go day at Cobb Chevrolet. I'm not sure how it's going to be in qualifying, but it's got a really good field to race with, and that's more what I'm worried about than anything else. Long race here in Iowa, 250 laps, so we want to be there at the end and have a fast car at the end.
You're obviously going out early. The track has some different rubber. As a result of last night's Sprint Cup race, what do you think?
Well, I don't think it's an advantage to go out early, but I'm not sure it's a disadvantage. You know, the track has a little bit of dirt on it. I could see when the 47 car went out. So, you know, we'll work around and get the best we can, and, you know, just need to make it through the qualifying lap. I know I've got a car I can win the race with, and that's what's most important.
Sounds good. Brad Keselowski getting ready to go out and qualify.
And we ought to send out happy birthday wishes to Brad's father, Bob Keselowski. He turns 58 today. So.
Last night, guys, they had a USAC sprint car race here last night in the racetrack, and a last lap, a guy blew an engine and laid a lot of oil down on the entry of turn 1. And everybody was concerned about that, knowing that these nationwide cars can go right out, but they cleaned it pretty doggone good, and I think we're good to go.
Lap 2, you can see on Lap Tracker, fell off a little bit. 23.32 for Trevor Bayne. That is his best lap on his first lap. So he moves into the provisional pole position, and he's looking to be a pole sitter 2 weeks in a row.
That is about the quickest speed we've seen here all weekend. The quickest we've seen about it is a 35, I think, for Thursday and Friday's practice. So really, that's not a bad speed right now.
Of course, Trevor involved in the pace car incident from last week where he slammed on the brakes, and this man right behind him plowed right into him, and they ended up coming back. Stephen came back to finish 5th. Trevor came back to finish 7th.
Well, the fastest lap time we saw yesterday was at 23:40, and Bayne just went out at 23:32, so obviously the track's in pretty good shape.
Rusty, we see 2 different lines. We've seen Trevor right on the yellow line. Stevens up about a half a groove, and that's the way you design this racetrack, so you can have multi-grooves so you guys can do that.
Well, they can run anywhere they want on the racetrack, that's for sure. I'm not for sure Stevens wanting to run up that high. Maybe his car is just not handled the way he wants it right now.
Well, good enough for number 2 right now, 23.5, but that's 0.2 of a second off of Trevor Bayne. He's going to have to pick it up here on lap 2.
So he's a lot lower this second lap. A little more confidence. You see the tracker's in the green and back to the red, so he's picked up quite a bit of speed so far on this second lap.
Well, one of the things, Rusty, it's all visual. I mean, when you race, it's all visual. You get visual context. When you go into turn 1 now with that huge white line with all that motor blown was, boy, that messes your vision up.
Well, his second lap, 23.4, so that slots him into the number 2 position. He started 3rd last week. As you take a look at Brad Keselowski, Jason Leffler, and Mike Bliss, all of them still to come here in qualifying. Back here at the Iowa Speedway, you're looking at Mike Harmon. Crashed his primary car yesterday and is in a backup. And on his second of 2 qualifying laps, his first one abysmally slow, 26.3 seconds. Second one not much better, 25.9. So that's going to put him at the 5th spot out of 5 cars. We can also tell you Kelly Byers went out in the number 10. His best lap, 23.5 seconds. And he is slotted in the number 3 position. Trevor Bayne is currently on pole, and Jack Arute has caught up with him.
All right, Trevor, good enough to get P1 or what?
I don't know about P1. We got a lot of good cars going here still. It's good enough for now, but car got real tight on the second lap, which we've been fighting all weekend, so hopefully we can free it up for the race here. You know, it's good to have this Aaron's Dream machine up front for now, but we'll see with these other cars what happens.
Guys?
What do you take from his comments?
Well, I really think that, you know, last night they had their last practice. It ended at 6 o'clock Central Time right here, and they knew what they had. Now it's kind of in the heat of the day, although it's not real hot here in Iowa. It's about 75 degrees, but it is hotter. They had a race last night, so the track conditions are different, Randy, so the car didn't handle like you thought it would.
Absolutely. There's a different compound of rubber. Hoosier tires were on those sprint cars and the USAC cars last night, and it does give the cars a different qualifying feel. I mean, sometimes it's tighter, sometimes it's looser. You felt him. You see Augie Vidovich, you know, they're going to have a pit stall selection with Carl. Carl's going to be fun to watch tonight.
Well, and Augie brings it in after 1 lap, and it wasn't that fast of a lap. 24.28 seconds puts him 5 out of 6 cars that have qualified so far. And, of course, it'll be Carl coming from the back of the field.
Yeah, Marty, exactly right. Carl's got to start tailback in tonight's race because he's up at Pocono, couldn't make it back to qualify his car himself. And really all Augie was doing was just getting the car out there, doing what he had to do for the NASCAR rules. And the only thing he could have got an advantage on is if he qualified really good, if he gave Carl a little bit better pit selection. But you know what? No big deal. He did the right thing, just easing it around there.
Brad Keselowski now out on track.
We've heard a lot of guys, Marty, say their setup from St. Louis is very similar, even though this place has its own personality. Who's on the pole at St. Louis? This cat right here.
Pops Sr. Tony looking on.
Well, I can tell you, he wants to do it again. He was so confident last night that he didn't even run the last practice session. He parked his car and went home. He told me, he said, boy, he feels good about it.
Well, I'll tell you, he's still getting a lot of questions about where he's going to drive next year. And he said he has received 7 or 8 offers from Sprint Cup Series teams for the 2010 season, but he is in no hurry to decide which one to accept. Lap number 1, 23.5 seconds. That's slotting him number 4 right now in this field. But here comes lap number 2.
He's digging. Now you see Tony Sr.'s like, well, you know, sometimes when you don't practice first thing in the morning, when you got to come out and jump in the car and qualify, you know, maybe that last practice would have helped him a little bit.
Well, I really think he should have run that last practice session, guys. I mean, I know he was confident and didn't want to use extra tires and stuff like that, but he's 3rd quick right now, and if his car was that good, he might have got this pole if he had practiced.
All right, while we've got a moment, let's talk about the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Iowa, presented by GoDaddy.com, because you'll see it today at 4 Eastern over on ESPN. And then NASCAR Now, presented by 5 Hour Energy. That's tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN2. And then NASCAR Now tomorrow, 10 Eastern, as we said, on ESPN2. And presented by the Home Depot Monday at 5 Eastern, also on ESPN2. And of course, you're saying, what about the Sprint Cup Series? Well, the race is presented by Old Spice, and you'll see it tomorrow, 1 Eastern on ESPN. Right now, we got the 33 car, Cale Gale. Tonight, it will have Kevin Harvick in it, and Kevin is the only driver that can deny someone from collecting the $75,000 nationwide Dash for Cash. And Cale, first lap was a 23.7 second run. Second lap, not much better.
Now here's a guy who just needs to get a good smooth lap for Kevin for tonight's race. But yesterday he went out and did a qualifying attempt, and he was 12th quick when practice was all said and done last night. And I asked him, I said, why'd you drive so hard? He said, man, I just want to see what this thing had in it.
That's something that these guys have to do. I mean, Cale is working to get himself in a nationwide car full time. You don't know what Kevin's going to do next year, Kevin Delana. Delana and Kevin's operation has really gone after that 18, that Joe Gibbs organization. They're working very, very hard to get their nationwide program to be as good as the Joe Gibbs program.
You got that exactly right, Randy. And yesterday I was talking to Kevin, actually Thursday, when he was here for his open practice session, and he says he's got his 33 car good for this race. So we'll have to see what he looks like coming from the back up to the front.
Well, we got Jason Leffler now out on the track, and while he makes his run, let's check in with Rick DeBrule, who's caught up with Eric Darnell.
The guy who was second fastest yesterday. Let's talk about what is it like to drive this track. You had a lot of expectations coming in. You'd never been here before. How do you describe it?
It's unique. You know, everybody said it was kind of like a Richmond coming in here, but bigger, wider, faster. Seems like there's definitely going to be multiple grooves out there in the race. They're pretty cool so far. You know, I think our Northern Total equipment Ford was pretty good in practice yesterday. You know, we primarily concentrated on getting good in race trim, and I think we got it there. And our mock qualifying run went pretty well, so I'm looking for good things today. But awesome so far. Great experience out here at the Iowa Speedway. The fans out here, I can't believe all the fans that are out here ready for this deal. I'm looking forward to the race tonight.
You'll have 58,000 fans cheering you on. There you go, Eric Darnell getting ready to qualify.
And for Jason Leffler, as he finishes up just as you finish, Rick, he runs a second lap at 23.5 seconds, moves into the number 5 spot. He's had 8 top 10 starts in 09. Don't know if that's going to be good enough to hold up. We've got a lot of cars still to come.
Marty, one thing I noticed about Jason all through the practice session, he was always out there, and the car was always up with the top 5, top 6 on the board most of the time. He had a lot of practice time at this track, and to me, I think he's going to be one of the guys to beat tonight. He looks like he's really prepared.
Now, you don't think that team wants that extra 75,000? Like I said, there's only one guy that can spoil it. That's probably going to be a record purse for the whole Nationwide Series ever. I mean, 135 grand to win this thing, that's big money.
The guy who wins this race, if it's not Kevin Harvick's going to walk away with close to 150,000 bucks. So that's going to be pretty cool.
Mike Bliss on the track right now, and Mike looked very strong throughout the 9 hours total of practice. Had a tough break last week at ORP, if you remember. Got swept up in the crash that he just could not avoid.
Yeah, he could not avoid it. It just happened so fast right in front of him. Boy, take a look at our tracker, though. He's tracking the pole position right now. Great through turn 1 and 2, carrying the speed down to back straightaway into 3. We're still in the green.
Hang on, we could have a new pole sitter. Oh, slipping through 4. It's diving down.
Oh, he just lost everything he gained off the exit of turn 4. Clocks in third quick at 23:48. But that was a great effort. That's the best we've seen so far.
You know, I happen to see his age. I did a little calculating yesterday. He's one of the senior members of the Nationwide Series. There's 10 guys over 40. There's 10 guys in the 30s, and there's 30 guys under 30 years old in this series.
Mike, 44 years old, from Milwaukee, Oregon. Former Truck Series champion, and he'll be third right now. His best starting position this year was second. Right now you're looking at Jeremy Clements as he is subbing for Kyle Busch. And again, this was another one of the teams that wanted to go out and see what they could do as far as the late run yesterday, Rusty.
Absolutely. He wanted to make a run. I mean, he wanted to see what this thing had in it also. Jeremy's a good little driver. He needs experience like this in these type of cars to see what they feel like, because I really think if you put the guy in a good car, he's going to have some great finishes. He's just all about racing.
He started last year. He did this last year with Joe Gibbs Racing. He does a lot of testing with him. And these guys brought us some pizza last night, didn't they?
They sure did. They brought some pizza by the booth, and that was cool.
Jeremy's 24 years old. He's had 12 starts in the Nationwide Series, a 40 in the ARCA Series.
He's experienced.
Yeah, he's got some track time.
His father is a big-time engine builder also in the Carolinas. Builds a lot of race engines for different type of vehicles, dirt cars, asphalt cars. Good engine builder.
Lap number 2 is sliding down towards where lap number 1 was. 23.6, a little bit better the second time around. He's in the 8th position right now. Trevor Bayne stays in the pole position. Can he make it 2 in a row? Well, there's some guys that are going to try and take it away from him. One of them is Scott Lagacy. Jason Keller would like to do it as well. And Michael Ned is racing in front of his hometown fans. You're looking at 25-year-old Sean Murphy. He was born in New Zealand. He lives in Fort Lauderdale, and he's trying to make his first ever Nationwide Series start. And his second lap, a little bit better than his first, 23.9 seconds. Slots him into the number 10 position. He was the 2008 ASA Challenge Division winner here at Iowa Speedway, so he has some experience on this track. Also, while we were in break, we can tell you that Eric McClure, he is qualified in the number 10 spot right now, or 11 spot. He just got bumped down with a 24.15, so that's the one car we missed. And Jack Arute is caught up with Jason Leffler, who's qualified 6th right now.
And Marty, he told me he had a little bit of trouble getting off of the corners. All right, that's one thing in qualifying, Jason. What about the race trim? How is this Great Clips car going to run?
It was good in race trim, but it was good in qualifying trim yesterday too, and we never fought forward bite. And I don't know if we made a couple little changes there, it didn't help, but the track's just that much slicker. It turned well, which is the name of the game here. You're going to have to stay turning for the whole run. It's just got to be able to get back in the gas and take advantage of that.
Rusty, I know you like to hear that when a driver says it turns well. A racetrack like this, that's the way you designed it.
Well, you got to have them turning good if you're going to pass cars. You got a car that's sliding the front end. You can't pull down underneath them and pass them, Jack. So I think Jason's going to be in just fine shape tonight. He looked great in practice yesterday.
Take a look at Eric Almirola as he is 23.9 on his first lap. He had contact with the wall through no fault of his own yesterday. Had an oil line break on the 07 car, and then he slid up and did some damage.
That's right. He was a little mad because he thought that they should have thrown a caution a little earlier. He whistled it in there, got into oil. Rusty, I mean, when you get into oil, even on a street car with water, I mean, these things are slick tires. They have no grooves in them. It's out of your hands.
Oh, it is out of your hands. And what happened with Mike Harmon, the 07 car in practice yesterday, the oil line exploded. The end came off the oil line. It dumped oil everywhere. And right behind him was Eric. He slid that wall, and he told me, he said, Rusty, this was our best car. This is literally a backup car that he's got. So he's a little hot because he had a good car, he thought. Now he's to a car that's not as good.
Well, he put it in the 9th position for right now. Eric Darnell is out on track, and Rick Brule, you're active down in pit lane. Who you have?
Indeed, we caught up with Stephen Light, who yesterday had the fastest practice time at the end of the final practice. Have you thought about it, make any changes in the car, or did you leave it the way it was?
We didn't make hardly any changes. This Holiday Inn team's done a great job all week since we've been here. We probably made a small air pressure adjustment to the car. Felt like I needed to be a little bit freer in qualifying trim, and I could have went a little faster yesterday. So, and 99 put down to 32. So I feel like I got a shot at it, man. If this car handles like it did yesterday, I'll give it a little bit more and see what we got.
This will be the first pole. What do you think? Can you make it happen?
I'm nervous, man. You know, I was nervous for my first win. I got that, and you think qualifying is easier than actually winning a race, but to me, it's actually harder. So, you know, it's got to buckle down, get one smooth, good lap, hit all my marks, don't overdrive the car, and we'll be good.
Cross your fingers. All right, that's the story for Stephen Light down here in pit lane, Marty.
While you finished up, everybody at home got to see Eric Darnell put 2 fine laps together and take the pole position. He is now provisional pole at 23.32 seconds, guys. 2 very solid runs.
Oh, yeah, he looked really good in practice yesterday, too, Marty. He was second fastest when it was all done late last night. And so he's got a good car. And it reminds me of what he did at Milwaukee, Wisconsin also. He grabbed the pole in this particular car at Milwaukee. So this kid knows how to do it, that's for sure.
Went on to finish 4th in that race.
You know, I talked to Mike Kelly, crew chief, yesterday. They really put an emphasis on coming out here. On Thursday, they said, okay, we're going to go to race runs. We're going to let the other guys get used to the race tracks. The other 2 teams, we're going to do some stuff for racing, baby.
On track now, the 87 of Jeff Fuller. See the 52-year-old trying to put the car in the show as he is a Rookie of the Year in the Nationwide Series all the way back in 1995.
Now, this is a guy that didn't even run last night's practice at all. He didn't. He decided not to do that, save the tires, save some money, some things like that. But we didn't see him yesterday at all late, so we really don't know what he's going to run like. And right now, the car's not looking good at all.
Well, he's in the top 30 in points, so the car is in the event, so he will be starting. And Rusty, this is the only guy I've ever known to drink more coffee than you. I spent 15 days with him in Afghanistan, and he drank Starbucks out of coffee.
Well, I'm a coffee drinker. You know that, Randy. I love it. Jack's down there. Jack, what do you got to say?
Well, we got Mike Bliss who's standing by. And Michael, you had 3 of the corners put together, and that 4th turn did you, and what happened?
We just were tight. I hadn't been tight here since we unloaded up off the corner. And, you know, I put a little more air in the right front. We talked about it. And I'm kind of guessing that I kind of forgot about the race last night, and I watched it, but I think that Hoosier tire just gave the racetrack a little more grip.
Guys, you always got to watch, even if it's not your division that's running, don't you?
Well, and we've talked about that before. It happens every time, whether it's Indy cars that were here and they're running with other tires. They have run on Firestones, and somebody else has Hoosiers, and they run Hoosiers last night for those 2 races. And Bliss, who came up through those ranks, knows what those tires are like, and he said, yep, well, we probably didn't account enough for that.
Brad Coleman was on the outside pole last week. Would love to resurrect his first lap of last week. This race team, this race car is as good as it gets in this series.
He is so close. Look at the lap tracker. Here he comes across the stripe. We'll see the time, and Coleman slots in at number 3. 23.38 seconds. He's got one more chance to take over provisional pole.
And that first lap was a little bit faster than Eric Darnell, who's on the pole right now. So if we can pick up a little bit in this second lap, he's got it. But it looks like the tracker's falling off big time right now.
Watching him, Rusty, it looks like he drove it really deep into 1, and he kind of got out. When he started dropping the patrol line, you know, he just drove it in a little bit too deep.
Well, the 20 car has 3 wins this year, all with Joey Logano behind the wheel. And Coleman stays in the number 3 position, 23.5. He dropped off on that second lap. Jack, let's check in with you.
Well, Eric Darnell held his breath there on a couple of laps, but you were able to exhale. You're going to have to hold your breath a lot to get the pole position today?
I think so. There's still some pretty good cars that got to go. That was a pretty good lap for a Northern Tool and Equipment Ford. I mean, the car drove really good, drove nice and easy. We made a couple mock runs yesterday just because I think track position is going to be pretty important today. It was all right yesterday. I don't know if that's going to hold up or not, but here's to hoping it will.
Guys.
All right, thanks, Jack. You're looking at Scott Lagacy, and boy, does this young man have a lot to prove. The 28-year-old is out of this ride at the end of this race. Denny Hamlin's going to take over for the next 2 events, and he wants to show what he can do.
Well, he's a good driver. There's no doubt about that, and I feel bad for him. I really do. I talked to him yesterday. He said, look, I got a couple opportunities, but he's a little hot that he got pulled out of this car. He's a good driver, and they felt like he took him out of there to see if those cars better than what it's been showing. But that's a bad deal, man. I feel for this kid because I feel like he's a lot better driver than what's been happening out there. And
His second lap is definitely better than the first. If he gets off a 4 good, let's see what happens. It's just dropping down just a little bit.
Yeah.
Drove it a little too hard, perhaps. Coming through 4. Take a look. The time, both laps at 23.5 seconds. So he is in the number 9 position right now. Started 6th last week at O'Reilly Raceway Park, but got a little nudge from the 88, if you remember, and that's what caught Bliss up as well.
Little.
Well, he's got a lot to show tonight. He's going to have a decent qualifying run. He's just going to have to drive his guts out and show everybody that he can do it.
So that'll bring up Jason Keller out on the track, the 39-year-old veteran who has synonymous with the Nationwide Series. And Rick DeBrule, while all this is going on, is caught up with Brendan Gaughan.
Indeed, Brendan Gaughan very excited about today. Not just a new track, but also you think you get the possibility of a top 10 out there.
No, absolutely. I mean, this is a big weekend for the Russ Wallace Racing team. You know, Iowa, Rusty's track. We got the 5-Hour Energy folks here. We got US Fidelis people here. But even better, look at the number of people in the grandstands and in the garage for qualifying. This is absolutely unreal. It's a cup atmosphere around here right now, and I'm just so excited to be part of it.
All right, Brendan Gaughan, go qualify.
Jason Keller's first lap, 23.5 seconds, puts him in the number 8 spot.
You know what, Jason Keller, I think he was the original young gun before they had all the young guns. Jason's been around for a long time racing.
He'll be making a record 478th start in the Nationwide Series tonight. The 37th different track that he will have competed on in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. You want to talk about a veteran? You're looking at him. 23.52, so he slips just a 100th on the second lap, so he stays in that number 8 spot. Coming out on track now will be the local hero from Des Moines, Iowa, just 40 minutes down the road. To the southeast of us is Des Moines, and that's where Michael Annette grew up playing ice hockey.
The whole entire family's here watching. Now, this is one of the biggest races in this young man's career. He is so excited about this event. He did a lot of practicing. He looked great in practice. And I will tell you, he's been laying awake at night to get this qualifying lap under his belt, he told me, because the whole family's here. Everybody's watching. And like you said, this is his home track.
Well, he's run the 2 ARCA races that have been held here at Iowa Speedway. He finished 3rd here in his first career ARCA start. That was back in '07.
You know, one of the things, this is a Germain racing vehicle, and I wonder how many of these black and gold leaf trucks that kid has washed over there with the TMC trucks that are all over the United States.
Yeah, Randy's talking about TMC Trucking Company, the family-owned business, and they're beautiful trucks. They're solid black with gold leaf down the side of them. Real hot-looking tractor and trailers, and the family's known for doing first-class stuff, and they're all here watching.
Well, the lap tracker's going in the wrong direction for him right now as he comes across, moves up 1 spot from his first lap, 23.82 seconds, and that puts him 15th right now. I'm not going to be convinced that he's not going to be real happy with that.
Well, he might not be happy with that lap, but if he runs the race like he ran practice, he's going to be just fine. He looked really good out there.
Well, let's talk about what's going to be coming up tomorrow, 1 Eastern on ESPN, because it'll be the Sprint Cup Series race at Pocono presented by Old Spice. Join Doc and the gang as they'll have everything on hand. 1 o'clock Eastern. 6 races are left until we get to the race for the chase. And the 5 Pocono races have been settled by a pass on the last lap. So tune in. It should be good. One of the guys who is in Pocono is Tony Raines. That's his ride tonight. Kevin Hamlin is behind the wheel here in qualifying.
That's a great break for Kevin Hamlin. He's a pretty good little short track racer in the American Speed Association. Different events around the Midwest he's ran. He's got the opportunity to try to get this baby qualified good and do a good job out there for these guys.
I mean, he had a job last year working with Chip Ganassi when Chip shut down his Nationwide Series. It kind of left Kevin without a job.
Boy, take a look at lap 2. It has really fallen off the charts, though, as he is well below his lap 1 effort of 23.5 seconds.
Not many guys. Usually the second lap is always quicker. We see only about a handful of guys that the first lap is quicker. You see Trevor Bayne, you know, he left a little bit on the table. His first lap was the quickest. A lot of guys are picking up almost a 10th to 2/10 on the second lap.
It's going back and forth on time. Some guys are faster the first lap. Some are faster in the second lap. Again, a brand new racetrack. People don't know what to expect yet.
What did you do, Rusty? When you were qualifying, did you always tighten the belts the first lap, or did you go after the second lap?
Well, you know, I was always a second lap guy. Unless I was at a short racetrack where I knew the tires were real soft and real grippy, then I went for everything. You go to a place like Michigan, Kentucky, joints like that, you know, you want to get the tires kind of up to speed, and sometimes that momentum builds, and that second lap's faster.
On On track now is Brian Eichler, the 23-year-old from San Diego, California. Third different driver in this car in the last 3 races.
They had to repair this right side a little bit after Thursday afternoon. He got into the fence a little bit. You know, Brian came from the West Coast. He's kind of like a Kyle Busch protege. Kyle got him driving a lot of his cars.
I'll tell you what, this kid gets around this racetrack real good. Brian Eichler does. I was here when he won the Camping World East and West race here. He just flat flew around this joint, and that's what caught the eye of some of these owners out there.
Well, Kyle has said if he started a NASCAR team, he'd like to have Eichler as his driver. And Eichler on his first lap, a little bit of a roller coaster, as you saw the lap tracker, 23.6 seconds. And looks like lap 2 is falling off a little bit also. So, yes, he loses 0.2 of a second. So he's slotted in the number 15 spot right now. But that will still be a decent run for this young man who is, you know, just starting out his young career.
We're watching that lap tracker. You know, right between 1 and 2, there's always a dip. Is that the rusty dip? Is that what everybody's been calling that over there?
Well, you know, when we built the track, Randy, it was dead smooth. And as the years went on, it got a couple bumps down in turn 1 and 2.
Over the tunnel.
And, yeah, over the tunnel. It seems like it always happens.
Yep.
But we thought we had that fixed. We put a special foam blocks under the asphalt between the tunnel to try to keep that from happening. But it's happened again.
Character.
But it's not bad. It's just a little bump, a tiny bump.
Ask Tony Kanaan how bumpy it is.
Yeah. Folks who don't follow the IndyCar series, Tony Kanaan has crashed into turn 2 3 years in a row. We're going to rename that corner Kanaan Corner.
Well, I told Kanaan the last time he hit the bump when he spun out. And I said, what happened the first year? There was no bump the first year.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Anticipation.
Couldn't blame it on that. Take a look at Ken Butler as he's run 2 ARCA races here at the Iowa Speedway. And right now he is first lap at 23.6 seconds. Slots him in the 12th spot. Starting out good on the second lap.
That's right. He's staying even with that line. Ken and his family, I mean, his family, Ken Butler, Big Ken you see on all the Lucky Dog commercials. He's a great race fan and a great owner, and obviously a great sponsor for these guys. It's a great company.
Everybody seems to be having their difficulties with turn number 4, though. As you can see, it sort of drops off there. He's 1/100th quicker on lap number 2, so 23.61. Puts him number 12.
And Marty, the reason that happens is turn 4, believe it or not, is such an easy corner to drive. And the way the track is built, these guys are picking the throttles up so early in between 3 and 4 that they're carrying so much speed, Randy, on the exit of turn 4, they just overdrive it and lose it a little bit right there.
Well, you know, from standing up here in the booth looking at it, it looks like it gets real tight at the exit because the guys pick up so much momentum in the center of the corner. Right about here, they almost have to turn again to go down the straightaway.
That's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He's run 3 races here at Iowa. In 07 and he ran the midget and a sprint car here. In 08 he ran the ARCA series. So he's had a few laps around this 7/8 mile oval. And look at lap tracker, looking very good here on lap number 1.
Yeah, looking good right now. He's teammates to Eric Darnell, who's currently on the pole. So the same setup are basically in both of these cars. Let's see what kind of results he gets.
Third right now with lap number 1 at 23.37. So if he can pick it up just a little bit more.
You know what was good to talk to him about? All the cars he's driven here, everything has its own personality. Nothing's the same. The ARCA car is so much different. A lot of horsepower, longer wheelbase. The Crown cars and stuff. Look at it. He's got in the green, baby.
If he can keep it up there, remember, turn 4 has been the one where everybody drops off. He's dropped a little, but does he do it? Yes! Stenhouse on the pole, 23.31 seconds. What a great run by the youngster, the 21-year-old that's just dumped his teammate to number 2. And we'll get a chance to see that grin and talk to him when we come back. That's Kenny Wallace on his second lap as we come back live to the Iowa Speedway here in qualifying for the inaugural running of the NASCAR Nationwide Series. At the 7/8 mile oval, his first lap 18th best at 23.6 seconds. His best start this year has been 17th. Was back at Darlington. Comes across the line just a tick better, 23.63, and that puts him 14th on the grid. We promised you a chance to talk to Ricky Stenhouse. Jack Arute has caught up with him.
And what I want to know from Ricky Stenhouse is that second lap was the trick. What'd you do differently?
Drove it a little harder down into turn 1 there and arced it out a little bit so I could get back in the gas up off of 2. Felt like that's where I killed my time the first lap. But this 3M Ford Fusion is pretty good in qualifying trim.
Hope it's going to be good in the race. We made a lot of adjustments yesterday and the day before in our test session, but the 3M guys have been working really hard, and this Ford Fusion's running pretty good.
Well, we used to call Steady Eddie Flemke steady. I want you to show you Ricky's hands. They aren't shaking this time. Well, now they are a little bit.
That's when you know
that was for dramatic purposes, guys.
Well, you know, we forget that these guys are hanging it out on the edge and push it just a little too far, and you slide yourself right into the wall. Take a look at Justin Allgaier on his first lap. He moves into the number 2 spot. This guy has been strong all weekend long, and he may become our new pole sitter, guys.
Oh, he might get it. He is tied right now with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Exactly the same time, 23.310 for both these guys, but he can't pick it up the second lap. Clocks in second quick.
By 1/1000th of a second.
Oh, my
That's
gosh.
the difference.
Great run out of Allgaier.
I'll tell you what, you know what they're most happy about? They did their full, like, 20-lap run, and they were fastest of all the cars that they were able to check themselves against. So that's what they're really happy with. They've got themselves a race car, and now they've got themselves a front row car, tentatively.
Well, he's been here 3 races in the ARCA series. He's had 2 top 10 finishes. He knows how to get around this place. Got a lot of experience here at the Iowa Speedway.
It's not a bad race team either. You know, you drive for Penske, you know, they might have some pretty good stuff. That's a pretty looking race car.
And believe me, he is keenly aware that Dodge has not had a win in this series since August of 2007 when Casey Kane brought home a win. And he wants to be the man to do it.
This is the guy I've been waiting for, Stephen Light. He was fastest in practice last night. Quickest car out there, but he's got to pick up a little bit if he's going to beat Stenhouse, because last night he ran a 23.40. These guys right now are about 1/10 of a second faster. But I know this guy wants it. He wants it really bad, he told me last night.
Well, if he doesn't get the pole, you know he had a good night's sleep anyways.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Got the tail happy and got close to the wall.
Look what happened to it, the red line.
Yeah, it just might as well throw away lap number 1, start thinking about lap 2.
Yes, you do. When you come off a 2 like that, you're like, okay, let me just get through 3 and 4. Let me try this all over again.
All right, 23.9. That's 24th quick. That's not going to cut it.
That's picking up quite a bit, though, through turn 1 or 2. He's got some speed going right there. Tracker's tracking about 5th or 6th, like you see there.
Boy, what a difference that line is.
Yeah, he's really calmed that thing down now. I think he went out there really jacked up, really trying to get this pole, and overdrove the car a little bit, guys.
He's not going to get it as far as the pole's concerned, but he does move into a top 10 spot, 6th right now, 23.4 seconds.
And that's exactly what he ran last night. Exactly the same speed of 23.40. Did it again.
All right, let's talk about what's going to be happening later today. We got the NASCAR Nationwide Series right here from Iowa Speedway, and it's presented by GoDaddy.com today at 4 Eastern on ESPN. Then tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN, NASCAR Now, presented by 5 Hour Energy. And then in the evening, we've got it again, presented by the Home Depot, Monday, 5 Eastern on ESPN2. And then the Sprint Cup Series, you're saying, when do I need to tune in? Well, it's presented by Old Spice, and you can see it tomorrow, 1 Eastern on ESPN. That is Brendan Gaughan in the 5 Hour Energy drink, and that's an appropriate sponsorship because Brendan is always amped up.
It looks like he got amped up getting down to the turn 1. Something happened down. He saw our tracker fell off. It looks identical to Stephen Light. What happened?
That's exactly right. A 23.9 for the first lap. Throw that one out. Try again.
He loves running the high line. This racetrack is banked 12 degrees on the bottom, 13 in the middle, and 14 up top. And he feels like he can run just as fast in the second lane as he does on the bottom of the racetrack.
Gets it close to the wall on the high side. It's not going to be a pole run, but it is much better than the first lap, 23.57 seconds. So Brendan moves into the number 15 position right now, as we've now had 29 cars take times. We're going to be getting close to the go or go homers. Stay with us. Qualifying continues from Iowa. On track right now is Andy Constein, as he is at the Iowa Speedway trying to put the 96 into the show, and he has done it with 2 laps at 24.53. He is a first of our first go or go homers, as a total of 50 cars are here. We have 20 fighting for 13 spots. Let's check in quickly with Rick DeBrule, who's caught up with Scott Wimmer.
Yeah, and Scott Wimmer had one of those ugly days yesterday. Started good, went bad, but ended up good. Your car, after hitting the wall, you went to the backup, and you did pretty well.
Yeah, I'm pretty fortunate. Everybody at Junior Motorsports, and they unloaded a great backup car. Fastenal Chevrolet was real fast in the last practice, so hopefully we'll get in the race. That's our first concern, and then I think this afternoon we should race real well.
Yeah, he was one of the fastest guys in the second set, or the final session yesterday. If he can only translate that into a qualifying lap.
You're absolutely right, Rick. He was fourth in that final session, 23.5 seconds at 133.8 miles an hour. So definitely has the potential. Right now, take a look at the 52 of Jack Smith. Jack, our second of the go or go home cars. He's trying to make his first ever nationwide start. Let's check in with Jack Aruda's caught up with Justin Allgaier.
All right, Justin, when your spotter told you you'd missed the pole by 1/1000th of a second, what did you say to him?
I had a nice little just disgusting little scream, I guess. It's very sickening to get that close and not get it, but I'm just so happy these Verizon Wireless Dodge guys. They've worked their butts off all week. You know, we tested on Thursday.
And you went radical with a lot of your changes, didn't you?
We really did. We threw a lot of stuff at the wall, and not a whole lot of it stuck. But we learned a lot of stuff for in the future, and we learned a lot about our race car here. And I think we've got an excellent race car. Qualifying was just kind of a crapshoot to see where we were going to start, but I think we've got a really good race car for the race today.
Rusty, like you like to say, this guy's got one good hot rod for the race.
Well, he does have a great hot rod. He's got a great attitude, too. He's embracing all this practice that they got the other day. He's been working really good with his team. And every week, it's like they just keep getting better and better.
Well, he grew up around racing. His dad, Gator, is a Hoosier tire distributor, been around racing. He ran the Chili Bowl a couple years ago. The kid's a driver.
Right now, John West Townley on the track as you see David Green, his driving coach and spotter. That's the man in the upper right-hand portion of the screen. And first lap, not bad, 23.7, considering the other two go-or-go homers. That's the best of the three so far. See how he does on lap number 2.
I pulled in the garage area on Thursday, walked into the garage to see some of the teams, and here this car comes driving by, tore it a million pieces. He got in a big crash, so he's in a backup car also. So big crash out of John, but he is getting better. He's getting smoother. He's had a lot of crashes this year, but you know what? You got to crash sometimes to figure out not to do it.
Well, the owners don't want to hear that,
that's
for sure.
But it happens.
But it wasn't his fault. They said a guy come across him leaving the racetrack and kind of got him turned around.
Well, second lap fell off by 0.2 of a second, so he'll stay in the 22nd spot right now, but he is the best of the go-or-go homers.
And John's been running a long time, the last couple of years. Probably started 5-6 years ago on Legends cars. His dad is, I think, the head guy from Zaxby's. So, you know, they do a lot of stuff. Joey Clanton has some Zaxby's chicken places down in Atlanta. So it's a pretty neat deal.
On track right now is Chris Horn. Chris, in the final practice, was only 38th fastest at a 24.6, and he is among the go-or-go homers, so he's got to pick it up a little bit here.
Local boy, Cedar Rapids. He's an Iowa boy.
Coming out of turn number 4, you can see the tracker compared to the pole, and he's way off of that, and he is the worst of the 4 right now at 24.45 seconds. Got to pick it up. And it's going south.
And you know he's trying. I mean, you're not on a racetrack. And people who think this stuff is easy, this is no way it's going to be easy. Like, he whistled in there, got it way up on the outside there.
Comes across the line. Will it improve? Just a touch, but it still keeps him 4th out of the 4 go-or-go homers right now. 24.36, the best lap for Chris Horn. Still more to come from Iowa. Stay with us. Qualifying continues at Iowa Speedway for the inaugural running of the NASCAR Nationwide Series race here on the 7-8 mile oval. That is Benny Gordon. He has clocked in his first lap at 23.7 seconds. We can tell you Peyton Sellers ran a 23.9, second quickest at the time of the go-or-go homers, but Benny has moved into that spot. In fact, Benny has just become the fastest of the go-or-go homers. Nice run, 23.6.
He's really excited about this place. You know, he's won here in 2008. He's a champion of the USAR Pro Cup division. He's really excited about getting an opportunity. Loves working with these guys in a nationwide series, and hopefully wants to get a little better in his career.
Well, he brings it on home. Let's talk about what's going to happen at Pocono, presented by Old Spice. Tomorrow at 1 Eastern, the Sprint Cup Series continues. Greg Biffle moved into the top 12 last week. Kyle Busch dropped out. Does he fight his way back in? Tune in tomorrow at 1 Eastern on ESPN and find out.
Watching practice at Pocono this morning, saw Tony Stewart crashed. He's in a backup car. He's our points leader.
That's right.
Did he do that in the spring, too?
He sure did. So it's going to be a heck of a race. It really is. I mean, this guy's going to... And they're starting at points, but still, since he's crashed, looks like he's going to have to go tailback.
Shelby Howard on the track right now, the 24-year-old from Greenwood, Indiana. That's just south of Indianapolis.
Speaking of crashing, he crashed yesterday, too, didn't he?
And when right now he's third quickest of the go-or-go-homers, 23.8 seconds. While we watch him, let's catch up with Rick DeBrule. He's caught up with Michael McDowell.
Indeed, we want to talk about the science of qualifying as a go-or-go-homer. You say you prefer to be at the back of the go-or-go-homers. Why?
It's sort of nice to know what you have to run speed-wise. You get an opportunity to see how hard everybody's gone and what you need to run. So it takes a little bit of the pressure off knowing what you have to do. And, you know, it's still tough to be in this position. Qualifying for races is tough. You can't make any mistakes, but... you know, the 26K automotive car had pretty good speed yesterday, so I think we'll be okay.
Okay, he's a lot of pressure, but only a tick less.
And Michael was running the 81 car, now over in the 26. He'll also be running that car at Watkins Glen. Had a chance to talk to Bob Keselowski about that last night. His son Brian, who normally runs a 26, is basically going to be the crew chief because they're a little short-handed on people, and they got to start making some races. He says, we've missed too many events, and we've got to get that money that comes in for being out there running.
And you talk about pressure qualifying. I mean, what about Michael McDowell? Was it last year at Texas? That horrendous crash he had going into turn one qualifying for the Cup race. Got on all the TV shows, and now he is trying to make a race in brand new Iowa Speedway.
Well, here's Chase Miller driving the 91 car. I have watched Chase drive a lot in the ARCA series. Did a great job in ARCA. Right now he's in this 91 car.
He got a little loose right there in the center of the corner.
Third quickest on the go-or-go-homers on that first lap, 23.8. Now remember, this is compared to Benny Gordon's time. Benny is the best of our go-or-go-home cars.
Now Chase drove for Everham for, I think, a year, 2 years. He drove the nationwide car for Ray Everham.
Yeah, Ray was really high on Chase. He still is, as a matter of fact.
23.75 seconds on the second lap. Benny Gordon has been locked in based on his effort, and Chase Miller now third fastest of those that have run on the go-or-go-home list. Curtis Davis will be up next. And there he is, out on track, the 28-year-old.
Curtis has got a ton of experience in the nationwide cars. He's one of the go-or-go-home guys we talk about. I hate to hear about that stuff, because these guys are trying to find the money to run full-time. They just got to start these cars right now and try to get in the race. And sometimes they try to run the whole race, and sometimes they don't. Depends on how much money they got.
And that's one of the things, you know, go-or-go-homers, starting parts. Maybe we should call these guys cash for clumpers.
They're trying really hard. And we need them really bad.
Curtis is compared to the 23rd time of Mr. Townley, and he is right behind him at 23.75 seconds. Townley 0.02 of a second quicker.
I'm pretty confident that'll get Curtis in the race. I think we'll be in good shape. Got a big field here, over 50 cars, like you said, Marty. A lot of people coming out for the inaugural race here in Iowa. Really excited about the drivers are.
Curtis comes across a little bit slower on the second lap, so he stays in the 24th position overall. It does lock in John West Townley to the field, so now Benny Gordon and Townley are confirmed, and Davis is next on the list to get the green light to stay in the show.
Curtis and his dad Johnny are probably the hardest workers, you know, in the nationwide garage area. We talked about maybe that meeting we had at the beginning of the week. I'm sure he was a little, he might have spoke up a little bit more, than because he's one of these guys trying to do it out of his own pocket, and man, his pocket's not that deep.
Scott Wimmer on track right now, and Scott is one of the two guys that are serious contenders for pole, as he was very good in practice yesterday. You heard him talk about it. You can see lap tracker right now.
This car was really fast in practice. In fact, when it was all said and done last night, Marty, he was fourth quick in practice, so it wouldn't surprise me. This guy is a pole contender. This is Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car. Fast Chevrolet. Let's see what he's got.
First lap, 23.6. That's 0.3 of a second off pole, so they've got to really pick it up.
Well, right now, the guy says, okay, you're in. Go for it. You know, now he's going to probably try to a little bit harder on this lap.
Yeah, look at our tracker really climbing. Maybe that car's running much faster on the second lap.
Well, that's something like he said earlier, Rusty. I mean, when you probably never had you didn't have to qualify a lot of times on speed, you know, because you knew you were going to get in the show. But, man, when you have to qualify with a JR Motorsports car, which is a Hendricks satellite team, man, you better lay your first conservative lap in there.
Well, his second one, 23.4 on the clock, and that moves him into the number 7 position. So Wimmer obviously going to be around for the race tonight. That's our third go-or-go-home car to lock into the field. And it's going to be getting close to touch and go time for some of these guys at the bottom of that list. Morgan Shepherd now on track. Failed to make 3 of the last 5 Nationwide Series events. And here's a guy who comes to race, to qualify, to make the race, and to run the entire race.
Yeah, he wants to run the entire race. It was great listening to Morgan the other day. We had the Nationwide Car Tomorrow meeting at the NASCAR Research and Development Center in Concord. And when I was talking to him, he said, man, I'd love to have this new car, because when I won all my races, it was always in the same car. He used one car to win all those races, and that's what this new car is all about, using less cars. And the new car is going to be able to be run at the short tracks, the speedways, road courses. Hell, Morgan, he was jumping up and down liking that rule.
And join us tomorrow or later today for a countdown, because we'll talk to Joe Balish about that new car as Morgan runs a second lap of 23.86 seconds, and that puts him 30th overall. He's not locked in yet, but Curtis Davis was locked in by that run. Rick DeBruhl has caught up with Stephen Wallace.
Indeed, and you're pretty happy with your qualifying position, specifically because you say really it's a better race car than qualifying car.
Yeah, I feel like our U.S. Fidelis Chevrolet was, pretty decent there in qualifying. I think we're 7th or 8th, but our race package stuff was pretty good. We had a lot of laps on our tires. We ran a lot yesterday in practice, so I feel like we got a good race car, for actual racing. So I think that's a good starting spot to start out, with, and hopefully be able to get a good pit stall and feel like we got a good car.
All right, Stephen Wallace getting ready for this race in Iowa. Remember, he's done well at this track.
Yes, he has. He has a win here. And right now, we are looking at Austin Dillon, and Austin was 5th quickest last night in the final practice, 23.5 seconds at 133 and change. And look at lap tracker. He's going to easily make the field, but now it's a question, can he get up into the top 10? He's 14th on that first lap.
Oh, he wants more. This guy's going for the pole. Like you said, he was 5th quick in practice last night. This is a Richard Childress racing car. This is the car that Clint Boyer won the championship with, that Kevin Harvick drove. This baby right here is a real hot rod, this car is.
Compared to pole sitter Ricky Stenhouse Jr. now on lap tracker. Whoa, lap. Turn number 4, rears its ugly head again, and he slips off by a 1/10 of a second, but still a strong run for young Austin Dillon, the 19-year-old from Louisville, North Carolina. 23.5 seconds, 14th quickest right now.
And he's also has some experience here. Run a couple ARCA races. He has run a couple Camping World races. So the kid, not only that, I mean, if there's a dirt track around here, he'll probably run the dirt track tonight.
Still a few cars to go, but I'm looking at the list, guys, and I really don't see any threat to Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s pole time of 23.31 seconds.
I think he's smiling. He could smile from here on out.
Well, if there is, it'll be a big surprise. It'll be the story of the day, that's for sure, if somebody outruns Stenhouse. I think Ricky's got to be breathing a sigh of relief, just like you said, guys. He's really looking forward to getting out here. That's a good run he's had. Man, he was a great qualifying run, because I didn't see that coming.
Well,
he wasn't that fast yesterday.
That's right, but that race team has been on the pole at Richmond. Now, a lot of people compare this place to Richmond. Yeah. They say that's your first thing is like Richmond. Well, they were on the pole at Richmond with Matt Kenseth in the car.
Well, guys, Casey Atwood, while you finished up, put his first lap good enough to lock himself into the field, 23.62 seconds.
Rusty, I had to talk. Did you bring Stephen out here a lot when you come out here and check this racetrack out?
Yeah, he came with me quite a bit, looking at the place, and drove the ARCA race, and actually won the inaugural ARCA race. Him and Juan Pablo Montoya had a heck of a race. I'll never forget that one. That's when they're bringing Montoya in Ganassi was giving some seat time. That worked out good for both these guys.
23.5 seconds, a tenth quicker on the second lap for Casey Atwood, so it slides him into the number 18 spot. So the list is growing for those that are solidly in the field. You can include Casey in that group, and there are guys that are still to come. We are now at a full 43 cars, so you either bump your way in or send yourself packing.
And you don't want to be packing today at an inaugural race. This is a big one, and they know it. Pays a lot of money. They want to make it.
Kevin LePage, that's compared to Chase Miller's time. Whoa, look out. We're going a roller coaster on the lap tracker.
This is another veteran, LePage. He's been doing this for a long, long time. And every time I see him run, most of the times, at least, it's always a really good qualifier.
Yes, always has been. Whether it was in the old NASCAR North in Vermont, whether it was the Busch Series, Cup Series, and now Nationwide Series.
Wife Donna also serves as a spotter. Boy, this is a roller coaster run. Take a look. Kevin is 32nd quick. You know, he won the inaugural running for the pole for the running at Kansas Nationwide race back in 2001. So he knows what it's like to set a record. And as he comes across the stripe, second one a little bit better, 23.77 seconds. And it means that right now Chris Horn has been put on the trailer and sent home. So we've got the Sprint Cup Series coming up at Pocono, presented by Old Spice, tomorrow at 1 Eastern on ESPN. 6 drivers swept both Pocono races in the same season. We mentioned Tony Stewart won it back in June. Well, he's going to have to go from the back to the front to do it again tomorrow. Back here at the Iowa Speedway, you're looking at Mark Green. He has already locked himself in with a first lap effort of 23.5 seconds. And we can tell you also that Johnny Chapman, while we were in break, also put his car, the number 90 car, into the field, 23.5 as well. So that means Jack Smith and Andy Constine are on their way home. Rick DeBrule has caught up with Austin Dillon.
That's right, a young man who's very happy with his qualifying because it's your best so far. Let's talk about the conditions on the track, though, and whether how it's going to be to race out there.
Yeah, the racetrack does a lot of funny things during the race. You'll be able to go 2 and 3 wide tonight. 3 and 4, you can kind of race all over, and 1 and 2, the preferred line's the bottom, but you can move up as the race goes on.
And you've been testing those lines today.
Yeah, yesterday in practice, so we really got a lot of test time in, so I think our car was good in qualifying, and it'll race well, too. So we'll see how we do. I'm really happy with the qualifying and High Point University on the car. It's just been a great weekend. Hopefully we can finish off with a good top 10 solid finish.
Yeah, he starts classes there in about 3 or 4 weeks, so it'd be nice to kind of go into the semester with a good finish.
We mentioned yesterday he's got a different definition of double duty. He's going to go to class during the week and race on the weekends.
I like his interviews. I like listening to him when he speaks. He just really knows about the car a lot. He's over at Richard's race shop a lot, checking it out. It's really has a lot of knowledge in racing, and boy, he's got a big right foot. This guy's not scared of running fast, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, takes a lot after his dad, Mike Dillon. I mean, Mike Dillon, he uses his right foot a lot, but he might have been on a record once or twice.
He's doing good now, though.
Out on the track, that is Kenny Hendrick, and Kenny does not go fast enough. He needed to go just a touch quicker. 23.93 seconds does not do it, so he is the 4th car now to be eliminated and sent to the trailer.
Kenny's got a lot of open wheel experience. USAC, SCCA, IMSA, stuff like that. Bob Shack, the owner of that team, I actually raced with Bob Shack back in the USAC days. AJ Foyt, myself, Bob Shack, guys like that. Had a good time with him.
He was a past ARCA champion, Bob was. And, you know, Rusty, we look at that car, and it looks very straight, which that means it doesn't look all twisted out of shape. And, you know, when these cars aren't twisted out of shape, they're not going to go as fast as the ones that when the body's all moved all over the places.
On track right now is John Borneman. The 3 cars remaining now, and John has got to run quicker than Morgan Shepherd's time. And, oh, it looks like he's going to do it.
He's looking good right now. Look at our tracker. I mean,
he's green already.
Yeah, first lap at 23.56. Good lap for him. That puts him 19th quick at the moment. Locked in.
Locks him in, and that means Peyton Sellers has been sent packing as well, because he becomes our 5th car, bumped from the field.
Johnny has, I think, 2 Camping World West race starts here. Good finishes. He's a great runner on the West Coast. He's a talented kid.
Marty, you mentioned Peyton Sellers a little while ago. Peyton was involved in a crash, and he lost his primary car, had to go to a backup, and I believe that's the reason he missed this race because of that. So that's bad for him, and it all started on Thursday.
Well, the next on the bubble is Shelby Howard. As 48 cars have taken time, there are 2 to go. So the guys that are sweating it out are Shelby Howard and Morgan Shepherd. We're looking at Michael McDowell.
Whoa, big sideways.
Man, did that thing almost get out from under him or what?
It did. It got out, but that doesn't give you a whole lot of confidence to whistle into turn 1, does it?
Oh, no, because he came at the start-finish line so slow right now. It was unreal because he was dead sideways. He's got to gather it up. He's got one more attempt to get this baby in the show. He's got to calm down right now. Hold a good line.
There's Brian serving as crew chief, normally behind the wheel of this 26, and he's creeping up, coming out of turn 4. Could be good enough. And yes, it is. So Michael McDowell recovers from the warm-up lap's almost spin and puts it in the show with a 23.79 second run. And look, second lap, way better.
Boy, look what it's tracking. I mean, this thing is flying around the track. Here's one of the cars that can actually put the car in what I call a full-blown qualifying mode, because all they want to do is get it in the race.
And boy, does he really jump it up. McDowell gives this thing a great run, puts it in the number 9 spot, 23.4 seconds. He picked up 0.3 of a second on lap number 2. Take another look at this warm-up lap.
This is coming to the green. He's going down into turn 3 and 4. He only dropped the apron. He hit the apron and it unloads the race car. He's like, okay, I can't do that again. And he runs second here in the ARCA race last year. So this kid has some talent, and he knew what he did wrong, that's for sure, and didn't go near that yellow line again.
So he has put the 26 into the show, and it means now Morgan Shepherd is on the bump. And only one car remaining, and you're looking at Derek Cope. And Derek was 32nd quick yesterday. His best time, 24.17 seconds.
You see right now the tracker's not looking good for him. Got through turn 1 and 2 kind of okay, but really slowed up on the exit of turn 2.
Everybody's second lap has been a little bit quicker. He's going to have to pick it up a little bit.
Yes, he is, because 24.06 is his best lap of the weekend, but it's not good enough. He's got to go quicker than 23.86 seconds.
But it's faster than Morgan Shepherd's first lap. And so Morgan picked up big time on the second lap, so this is the only option he's got right now. And that's an awful high line he just ran there, guys. Look, the tracker falling off.
And it's not going to be anywhere close. 24.3, slower than the first lap. So it means that Derek Cope becomes our last one to go home. And it means also that Morgan Shepherd survives and will be around tonight. And it also means that there's 21-year-old is going to be our back-to-back race pole sitter, first-timers at ORP with Trevor Bayne and now with Ricky Stenhouse. Let's talk to him, Jack.
Ricky, congratulations. You know, you've got a lot of experience here, but most of it is in open wheels and in an ARCA. Randy LaJoie says each car has its own character. Characterize this 3M machine.
It's really good. These guys, my 3M guys, grinded all day, worked really hard on it, and just glad to get this 3M Ford Fusion on the front row for the first race here at Iowa. It's going to be a great race, and I think we got a pretty good car. We might have to work on it there a little bit, but it'll be a long race, and we'll try to be there at the end.
During the course of this race, what is your chief concern in terms of, is it the track or the car changing? What is it?
Just keeping up with the track. We had a good run there at Milwaukee, and I didn't keep up with the track. So hopefully we'll keep up with the track, and all the 3M guys and Eddie, my crew chief, will do a good job making good calls and changes there on pit road, and hopefully we'll be there at the end.
I know a lot of people are screaming for you to get over to victory lane, so why don't you get after it? Guys?
His first pole in his 6th race in the Nationwide Series. You saw the crew taking the war wagon down to the #1 spot. They haven't even officially picked the spots, but those guys know where they are going to be setting up shop for later today. Stay with us. We have got a lot more to cover for you here qualifying as we get ready for the inaugural race here at Iowa Speedway. Remember the movie Field of Dreams? Ray Kinsella in Iowa tears up his cornfield, builds a ballpark. That's not too far away from here. About 5-6 years ago, there were a group of guys that had a dream to build a speedway. And there it is, Iowa Speedway. And it's about to host its first NASCAR Nationwide Series event. And That's just part of the crowd that's here already. And those grandstands will be, look at them in the background area there, getting souvenirs, getting some ice cream, hot dogs, refreshments. Let's get to some more drivers, and Jack Arute is caught up with Scott Lagasse.
And guys, we've documented the fact that this is Scott's swan song with his particular team, but you gave me some pretty good news yesterday that you've had some inquiries and people are starting to dial you up and say, maybe, hey, drive my car, drive this car, drive that car.
You know, I hope so. Definitely discussions have taken place, and what's up, buddy?
You could drive Wallace's car.
Yeah, that thing's pretty fast. I mean, he was real good in race trim yesterday. So, yep, you know, that's all you can do is hope for. Just keep your head down. And a little disappointed in our qualifying run there. We were shooting for the pole and gave the nose up down in 3 and 4 a little too much. So we should be good in the race.
How frustrating has it been for you, though? You guys have worked so hard, and now it looks as if the team has turned the corner, and now you're going to give it over to someone else.
You know, it is. It's a double-edged sword for me. You know, I'm really happy that they have worked so hard to try, you know, onto a different style setup. And so that, for me, is great to see them still working hard, but it does stink to get out when the speed's there again now. So you definitely didn't see what it had capable in qualifying, but I think in the race will be good.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Let's check in with Rick DeBrule. They're lining up, Rick, for the drivers' meeting.
Indeed, we're at the back of the line with Mike Bliss. The advantage of a veteran, he knows he's got a few minutes to get in there. So he's a little nervous, but not a lot. But you got to be happy. You got a top 10 qualification out here for a track you've never been to.
Yeah, I mean, it's good, but it's a little disappointing. We were the fastest on Thursday and ran a 39. So, I mean, the car was real tight for qualifying. I don't know why, but our Mikasuki Chevrolet has been real good in race trim. So it's going to be a long race. So I'm looking forward to the race.
I was going to say, let's talk about, is it a better racing car versus a qualifying car? Which setup do you think is going to be better?
You know, we've been pretty well balanced both ways. We're going to get tight. I think every car is going to be probably a little bit tight on longer runs. But, you know, it's a wide racetrack with lots of grooves, so if it gets tight on the bottom, we just move up a little higher, I guess.
All right, Mike Bliss, you're free to go to the drivers' meeting, finally get in there, make sure he gets checked in on time. Hope for a good run.
Yeah, that was the big boss right behind him there, Mike Helton. He doesn't want to be late for the drivers' meeting.
No, they got all the brass here. Robin Pemberton, Mike Helton, all of them.
In fact, Jack is caught up with Mike. Let's talk to him.
And Mike is going to go in to address and run this drivers' meeting along with the rest of the NASCAR nationwide officials. But, Mike, I want to go back and first get your assessment of the house that Rusty built here.
Well, I think time will prove out that Rusty's touch here is exceptional. And after all the experience that he had, I would hope that he'd get it right, and I think he very much did. And we're excited to be here with the Nationwide Series today. And great hospitality. I think the folks in this part of the country are really, really die-hard motorsports fans, and we hope that many of them are NASCAR fans.
I want to go back to Thursday night. There was a special roast for the NASCAR Foundation and for the Iowa charities here, and someone bid on a Victory motorcycle with one proviso. What was that proviso?
Well, that was Michael Gone that was bidding on Rusty's Victory, and it's got a beautiful paint job on it. And Michael's contingency on running the bid up is that I'd take it for a lap around the track before the race started. So
are you?
Well, I gave him my word, so I've got to do it. I'll sneak out there and do it, and hopefully nobody's watching when I do it.
Oh, wait, no sneaking out. You have to. We're going to be covering it with like 22 cameras, Mike.
Yeah, but you guys got all these drivers and cars and all these great fans. That's who needs to be covered this weekend.
Yeah, but they won't have road rash.
Well, I hope I don't either.
Thanks, Mike. Guys.
$40,000 is what Michael Gahn donated, providing he would take that ride, and it was a great touch by Michael, who is Brendan Gahn's father, and a nice gesture by Mike to take the car or the bike around the track. Our top 5 in this field have not won a NASCAR Nationwide Series event, and they are led by a bunch of young, hungry drivers, guys, and this is going to be a very fun race to watch tonight. Just like last week, we're going to watch Carl and Kyle and Kevin Harvick and Tony Raines come from the back, and will it be the old wily veterans, or will it be one of these young kids coming through?
It's wide open for anybody, Marty, and it's because there's 3 lanes of racing out there. You saw Mike, what he had to say about the track and the drivers. There's a lot of guys that raced here before, and I really think that some of these new guys have got an opportunity, because this is an opportunity race to get their very first victory. Yeah, we're talking about Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards and guys like that, Kevin Harvick, but
it can be anybody. And I will tell you, there's many guys not wanting Kevin Harvick to win because they want that $75,000 dash for cash money that Nationwide Insurance is putting up.
You know, one of the things, the top 5, the average age is 22, guys. And in the top 5, I mean, I think Carl's going to have a tough time, and Kyle Busch, because you have 2 Roush Racing guys there. You got a Penske team, you have a Michael Waltrip team, and you have a Joe Gibbs team. So these kids got some good race teams.
You saw the Dash for Cash sponsored by Nationwide. There are 4 standalone events. The first 2 were won by Joey Logano. He was not eligible, so the $25,000 first place prize rolled over. It's now $75,000 if anybody but Kevin Harvick wins this race. There's also a $50,000 bonus at the end of the year for the points leader. Right now, that is Kyle Busch. And that is the airport right behind the racetrack where the drivers will be flying in as they'll be coming from Pocono to race their way from the back to the front. And we'll be here to find out if they can do it, or it will be the young kids up front that take home the first trophy from Iowa Speedway. Well, we've got a moment. Let's talk about our motorsports menu coming up, and obviously a little bit later this afternoon, 4 o'clock Eastern over on ESPN, our Nationwide Series race presented by GoDaddy.com. And then tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN2, it'll be NASCAR Now presented by 5 Hour Energy. And then also tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern, NASCAR Now on ESPN2. Then you've got Monday at 5 Eastern. It'll be NASCAR Now presented by the Home Depot. That's also on ESPN2. And what about the race? Well, it'll be presented by Old Spice, and the Sprint Cup Series is in Pocono at 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Now, you, right before the break, heard Mike Helton talk about the motorcycle. There is the beautiful paint job, specially done on this Victory motorcycle that Rusty donated, and the total on that one was $40,000. Over $300,000 total has been raised so far for NASCAR Foundation this weekend through that roast and through the track walk-around. And, boy, that is a beautiful piece that Michael Gaughan has now owned. Now look at the guys outside the NASCAR hauler. They're the ones that are sent over to draw for pit positions. We know where our pole sitter Ricky Stenhouse is going to choose because we saw the crew already relocating the War Wagon down to pit number 1 at pit exit as they're set up and ready to go, guys.
I tell you, this pit road is kind of like Phoenix, Arizona. It's got a big arc in the front straightaway. We tried to make the pit roads as long as we possibly could, Martin, and make it good for everybody. Take a look at the photograph right here. As you come down the pit road, it turns, and I would say everybody wants to be right down there. That's just about the same as they do in Phoenix. Same style pit road, so I think that's what they're going to choose.
You know, number 1 pit stall is always the best pit stall to have. And Rusty, I mean, you won at Phoenix a few times. Now, Richmond, you copied this place a little bit. Phoenix, you took a little bit from every racetrack you went to.
Yeah, pretty well every racetrack. There's just no doubt about that. But actually, the biggest thing that happened, I got so tired of hearing people say, oh, we got an arrow push. We can't pass because of an arrow push. Sat down and just thought about it and said, you know what? Let's just bank up the 2nd and the 3rd groove and change lanes. I think if the car just gets out behind a car and gets in his own slipstream air, he can pass better. And that's what's happened at this racetrack. And got my fingers crossed so far it's worked.
Kyle Busch is going to be up there sooner or later this afternoon.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see who and how the lines develop as this race develops, because you're going from 12, 13 to 14 degrees of banking. My biggest question for you guys right now, based on what we've seen on practice, I want both of you to chime in on this. Who really surprises you? Who do you think has the best car going into this race tonight?
Yeah, I watched a lot of cars yesterday and Thursday. These guys are on the bottom. They want to get the cars to run on the bottom. But if you're not on the bottom, you're going to be in that 2nd groove. Every groove has its own grip. Every groove has its own personality. If your car works better, we seen last week, they were all over the place.
You're not getting off that easy. Who do you like right now, based on what you've seen?
I like the 99 car. I think Trevor Bayne has something to prove, and I think he's going for it.
Rusty?
Yeah, don't forget those Cup regular drivers. I mean, Carl Edwards, he ran a lot of laps here on Thursday. So did Kyle Busch. Kevin Harvick really feels good about his car. But one guy I was watching, I was out there all the time looking solid, was Jason Leffler.
Well, and I'm going to pick Justin Allgaier because the kid has been on a rail, and like we said, on those long runs, he has been one of the quickest, if not the quickest. Let's take a look at our starting grid, and we'll show you where everybody's going to be starting a little bit later this afternoon. And Ricky Stenhouse with his first career pole in his 6th start, and that's the best career start for Allgaier on the outside of row number 1.
Well, then you look at Stephen Light. He was the quickest in practice. Stephen Wallace had a great one last week. Mike Bliss is the ultimate short track guy.
Yeah, Scott Wimmer right there in the 4th row inside. It's a backup car. He destroyed his other car in practice. That was a good run out of him.
Let's take a look at the second page. I guess Mike Bliss would be the old veteran there in the top 10. And there you see Brad Keselowski. He'll be on the inside of row number 6. And who stands out among that group for you?
Well, you know, you got to look at the deuce. You know what? I mean, it's a blue deuce again. But that team won the championship last year. The kid has definitely raced here before. That team's going to be tough.
Rusty?
Yeah, I agree. Austin Dillon, that 2 car is going to be really strong. You say Leffler alongside of him, but I'm going to go back up to Brad Keselowski. He thought he was so good, he did not even run that last practice session. It's going to be interesting to watch his car.
All right, let's move a little bit further down through the field, and there you see Brendan Gaughan. He'll be starting on the inside of row 11.
And I think Brendan's going to be the first cat to jump up on the high side. Eric Almirola had one of the fastest cars in the practice. He got crashed. Kenny Wallace is always going to be there. Look for a top 10 for Kenny Wallace.
Take another look a little bit further back in row number 16. You got Curtis Davis and Chase Miller. Cale Gale, of course, in the 33. That's where Kevin Harvick, and he's going to pull to the rear.
Yeah, he will. And then Kevin Harvick getting that hot rod and drive that baby up to the front. I'm sure it'll fly. That car is really good. But what about Michael Annett, the local guy from around here? He is jacked up. He's got his entire family here. He's been eyeballing this race forever.
And I know that's a little bit further back than they had planned on starting because they practiced better than they actually qualified. And here is at the very tail end of the field with Jeff Fuller, Mike Harmon, and Morgan Shepherd making it into the 43-car field with 7 actually going home today as 50 cars tried to qualify, tying the season high mark that was set back at Lowe's a little bit earlier this year. And let's show you the 7 that are on the trailer. It includes Shelby Howard, Peyton Sellers, Kenny Hendrick, Derek Cope, Andy Ponstein, Jack Smith, and Chris Horn. Well, we're going to step aside for just a moment. The drivers' meeting should be wrapping up shortly. That'll give us a chance to corner a few more guys, get their comments and their opinions on what they expect to see happen later this afternoon here at Iowa.
The defending gold medalist in skateboard street, Ryan Sheckler, is a reality TV star. But the real reality, he's going up against an on-fire Paul Rodriguez today. Skateboard street, X Games 15, 3 p.m. Eastern on ABC.
And thank you, Sal. Boy, I'll tell you, I have no idea how those guys do it. But also coming up on ABC after our qualifying show ends, 4:30 to 5 Eastern, the Supermoto final. And boy, I'll tell you, one guy we're going to miss, Supercross champion James Stewart. He has injured his left shoulder, and he will be out of X Games 15. So we hope he has a quick recovery. But that just opens the door for someone else to take the gold medal. And as we said, that'll be coming up throughout today on ABC. And boy, look at this crowd. This is just amazing, and we're still hours away from the start of the race.
That's right. First thing this morning, Rusty, coming in here, these guys are lined up getting off the highway. What a beautiful facility you guys have built. You've done a great job. You got a great team with you, and you just need to be commended. I mean, this is going to be fun this afternoon.
Well, the people are really excited in the state of Iowa and surrounding areas. People ask me all the time, where are you getting them all from? It's about a 400-mile radius that we're drawing from here. And they're pouring in, as you can see. It's a great day here in the state of Iowa.
It's the only track that people can come to. Listen to this now. It's the second time a NASCAR National Touring Series has competed in Iowa. The last time was back in 1953. Herb Thomas won on a half-mile dirt oval back at Davenport Speedway. Talk about the important dates of Iowa Speedway. Well, the broke ground back in June of 2005, opened in September of 06 with the Hooters Pro Cup race, and the first ARCA race won by, well, Stephen Wallace. We pointed that out. That was in October. First NASCAR race was the May 2007 Camping World East-West, won by Joey Logano. And Dario Franchitti loves this place. He's raced here twice in the Indy cars, and he's won 2 of them. And remember last year he was running NASCAR. That's the only reason he didn't race 3 years in a row here. But he loves the place, and as we pointed out, Tony Kanaan doesn't, because Kanaan's crashed 3 times in turn number 2 here at Iowa. So that's just a bit of the timeline as you see the cars still coming in off of the highway. There you see back off in the distance, and a little further to the left is Interstate 80. If you go to the west, you run into Des Moines. Stay with us. We're coming back.
Nationwide Series qualifying. Brought to you by Captain Morgan Original Spiced Rum. Drink responsibly. Captain's Orders. And City. City never sleeps.
Off in the distance, that is the Newton Airport, and it's just a hop, skip, and a small golf cart ride. Don't have to worry about helicoptering, and we're waiting for the jets to come in from Pocono, carrying our 4 double-duty drivers, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Tony Raines, and Carl Edwards, as they have had a rough day of practice up in Pocono. Now, there is one very important thing that they have to do when they get here. Jack Arute, let's update everybody.
Well, Marty, it's important because it is the waiver of liability and indemnity agreement, what we like to call the release sheet. Here in the Nationwide trailer, they're right here. It's undercover. The first thing those 4 drivers will have to do is sign these sheets, and that gets them covered insurance-wise. And I wonder what would happen if these are the only two pens, right? Well, maybe I'll just take those, and you know, that could cause some consternation, couldn't it, fellas?
Yeah, you could be in the doghouse.
Well, you know what? Yeah, you know what happens is you just kind of forget, Rusty. I've been totally, you're at the truck, but you don't remember to sign in. You're in the car, you get ready to go on the racetrack for first practice, the official's like, hold on, you got to go sign in. You're like, oh, man, you got to get out of the car, run all the way back. You ever happen to you?
Oh, it happened to me a bunch, and it'll make you mad as a hornet. You know, I've told them, I said, hey, I'm in the car, I'm already strapped in, I'm sorry I forgot. Can you just run the sheet out, let me sign it real quick? And they go, nope, get out of the car. Oh, man, you want to strangle somebody. But then I found out, you see the bolts on the left side? The doggone thing's bolted to the truck, so you can't run the thing out there.
And you can't throw it either.
No, it's bolted down, it won't move.
All right, great story, guys. Take a look at Jason Keller as the Iron Man is about to go for number 479. His starts, and boy, I'll tell you what, that's a record worthy of talking about. Let's take a deeper look.
Hi, I'm Jason Keller. I've always wanted to visit the Grand Canyon. I won't do that until I get to take my kids out there. I'm most afraid of my wife. My favorite TV show is American Idol. I kind of sing in the shower every now and then, you know, so I sort of know the ones that sing real bad, so I can relate. Wow, that's deep. Something that most people may not know about me would be that I love cooking.
Now, how did you get started cooking?
Actually, my dad is a good cook.
Oh, really?
Extremely good cook. It's kind of my thing.
And I just had most afraid of your wife. And he said, oh, yeah, definitely. But let's talk about you've had a lot of starts. This track you've never been to before, but you got a decent starting position, 13. Are you happy with it?
I really am. You know, I was getting ready to comment on the lineup and say there was a lot of rookies up front, but I guess we're all rookies here in this series. So it's the Cottonelle Ford was really good, and you know, we've been right around that top 10 range and all the practices pretty much, and I felt like I could get a little bit more, but everyone stepped up too, so we ended up 13th, so I'm pretty happy with it. And what weather. This is a great racetrack and a great place to race. The fans are just so excited, and I'm looking for a great afternoon.
Let's talk about what this track is going to be like to race on. Obviously, now you've seen what it's like to qualify on. Are there going to be 2 lines? What are the transitions like? What's it going to be like to race on, do you think?
Well, I really don't know. I mean, in practice yesterday, everyone kind of was given a lot, so we really didn't race door to door that much. But these double file restarts now in the Nationwide Series are just they're crazy, you know. So it's going to be a lot of side-by-side racing for the fans, and it's going to be exciting. I really feel like the groove's going to widen out. The preferred groove in 1 and 2 is down low, but I think as that goes on and rubbers up so much, it's going to move up. So hopefully we can keep that the Cottonelle Ford up front, and just excited. You know, it's great to come to a place where the excitement is in the air. You know, sometimes we go back to places time after time, and it kind of loses its flair. This one's got a lot of spark, so I'm really excited.
Jason Keller, imagine that, a rookie at a track.
It's been a while since we've been able to say that, but there he is. There is the crowd that just continues to file in here, and we're going to have 58,000 of them on hand as we will go racing at 4 o'clock Eastern time. And here are some of the facts about Iowa Speedway. It's a 7/8 mile paved tri-oval, and about, as we said, 30 miles northeast actually of Des Moines. You just come over I-80, and we talked about the fact that Rusty helped design the track, and It features that 1.3-mile road course where the sports cars have run here in the past, and it was a great TV event. It was some carnage, wasn't there, Rusty?
Oh, there was some carnage, but it turned out good. You know, hey, I just got word that it's standing room only right now, and it's well over 60,000, so it's climbing the attendance. So it's going to be exciting.
Let's pick up with Jack Arute. You're at the draw, right, Jack?
And they are queued up like they were giving away $1 million in the lotto or something as they continue to go down the line, and the top teams are drawing. And guys, you know, one of the keys is not only do you want to get pit number 1, but what you want to try and do is you want to try and find a place where you got a clean out, even more than a clean in. And that's the case where some of the top time trialers have gone a little further back in some of the breaks on pit road. And the idea there being, once their service is done, they've got what they call a shallow, easy out after their pit stop. And that's the case. In fact, Justin Allgaier, who qualified so well, he's picked pit number 15, Rusty.
Yeah, Jack, one thing I want to know is there some deal making going on down there? I see all the crew chiefs talking to each other about, hey, why don't you pick here so I can pick there? It looks like a lot of stuff's happening.
Well, it's like when a restrictor plate race, Rusty, and you know what that's like. Everybody wants to make a deal until they step up to the table. And then all of a sudden, all those deals go out the window.
Let's listen a little bit to the process.
5, 11.
I'm so good.
Sounds like a bingo game, doesn't it?
Yeah, bingo.
34.
Yeah. One of these guys, the guys also, Rusty, they're talking to guys, okay, how long? You guys planning on running the whole race? If not, I might have an open put. So, I mean, these guys are also asking these guys, what are they doing?
Let's be real honest. We have some cars that are starting parks. If you're selecting after, say, the number 90, I heard him pick pit 16. That's definitely a starting park. You're going to pick like 17?
Absolutely. I mean, these guys want to pick around a car that they know is not going to run the whole race, going to pull off the track, the starting parks, and that's what some of the stuff's doing. They're talking to these teams about where are you going to go, what are you going to do, because I want to be around you.
Well, Scott Wimmer's team knows exactly where they're going to be. There is Justin Allgaier. He is number 2. He'll be on the outside of the front row.
83 takes 35. 49. 62.
And while the pit selection continues, Rick DeBrule has caught up with Stephen Light.
62.
That's like the guy who was fastest yesterday, and we were just talking 6th ties your best qualifying ever, and you're not happy with that. That's a good thing, actually.
No, I'm definitely not happy with that. We ran same speed yesterday, but today track seemed a little faster, and it caught me by surprise. The car was a lot looser on both ends of the racetrack coming off. And I tried so hard that first lap for the pole that I think I overdrove it, and the looseness caught me by surprise. So I about crashed the thing off too. When I went down the backstretch, I just took a deep breath and said, okay, obviously we're not going to sit on the pole. Let's just get a good smooth lap and try to repeat what we did yesterday, and did exact same time as we did yesterday. So 6 is a good starting spot, but definitely not happy with that. This Holiday Inn team should deserve the pole, man.
Let's talk about race plan. What's the race plan other than survive?
Well, you know, we don't know what this track's going to do. We don't know if the bottom line's where you need to be or if the top's where you need to be. Thinking about it and, you know, thinking back in practice, it was pretty hard to pass on the bottom even when you come up on a slower race car. But the top group seemed to have a lot of speed in it when you moved up top and got clean air on your nose. So maybe the top line's better. Well, who knows? And maybe we'll go 3-wide racing here today.
We'll know in a few hours. Stephen Light ready to go.
And I think that's the anticipation that everybody is sort of looking forward to, is which line is going to work best for which team. And we're all sort of chomping at the bit to get going at 4 o'clock Eastern.
You know what? The biggest thing is to watch Harvick and Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch. These guys, you know, if we don't have a caution here, these guys are going to be all over this racetrack.
Well, I can tell you one thing. I know exactly where Kyle Busch is going to go. He's going to the top, and he's going to do it in a fast way. He's raced here. He's won here. He knows that very top groove, you can go 3 wide. Now, they've got to get a little rubber laid down out there and clean it off a little bit, but I still think at the start of this race, you can see Busch on the outside flying to the front.
And that win for Kyle was a Camping World East-West Combine that was run here on the Iowa Speedway. And we'll find out tonight, or this afternoon, I should say, at 4 o'clock Eastern, when we'll go green here at Iowa Speedway. Back with more. Stay with us.
Day 3 at next, game 15, and it's all about the roar of the engines in Supermoto. High speed and sweeping turns. We're looking for gold at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific, live on ABC.
And you saw Jeff Ward there. I'll tell you what, he won an IndyCar race. He was second in the 99 Indy 500, 9 AMA motorcycle titles. He's in the Motorsports Hall of Fame. And oh, by the way, he's 48 and he's whipping boys a third of his age. I love it.
Gotta love that. He's trailing Mark Martin, ain't he?
Well, we're here at the beautiful Iowa Speedway as we're getting ready for the race at 4 o'clock Eastern. And Rick has caught up with our number 3 qualifier, Eric Darnell.
Yeah, it's not a pole, but it's not bad, all things considered, being in the top 3. All right, let's talk about what this race is going to be like in terms of how long does it take for guys to start settling down, do you think?
I don't know if guys are going to settle down. I think we've seen in practice already that this place is pretty racy. I think you're going to see guys in the middle, you're going to see guys on the bottom, you're going to see guys on the top, especially with the Cup guys having to start in the back. You know, I was pretty happy with our qualifying run in our Northern Tool and Equipment Ford. Wish we had a little bit more to get that pole. I mean, but the times at the top were so close. Actually, the times all throughout the field were really close, which we saw in practice yesterday. But I think the fans are going to be in store for a good race. There's a ton of them out here already. I think it's going to be a real exciting race, and hopefully we'll be right up front when we get there to the end.
Do you have a plan for this one, or you just wait and see what happens?
Wait and see what happens, I guess. The plan's to go to the front. I mean, we're starting up there, but the plan's to go a little bit farther forward, get to the front, and hopefully stay up there. But I think the groove's going to widen out. I think we're going to have to keep up with the changes on the racetrack all day. I've never raced here before. Some of the guys in the field have. Might have a little bit of an advantage there, but you know, I think we'll get it figured out, and we'll be good all day.
Eric Darnell, ready for a learning experience. Jack?
Well, Brendan Gaughan's ready for a learning experience as well. He's been enjoying a little bit of a lunch here, kind of gourmet style. But I want to talk to you about the graduated banking here, the 12, the 13, and the 14 degrees. What does that allow a driver to do during the course of this race?
It allows me to be a little bit heavier and have Rusty Wallace, you know, Chef Myers over here with steak and lobster. No, what it really does is it's a really nice track where it's like Irwindale, that old short track in LA that I used to love that place. But what it's going to allow me to do is during the race, just run up a couple grooves and keep your momentum with more banking. The more banking there is, think about Bristol. Bristol, you can go faster because of the banking. So guys can battle for the bottom all they want. Everybody tries to battle down there. I'm going to burn my own groove up in that third groove that Rusty built just for me. People say he built this place for me. Thanks, boss. And we're going to try to make it fly up on the top side.
Guys, I think that's going to be the key come green flag time. Watch to see who goes topside and who stays topside. Kind of like, Rusty, the old Dover, Delaware days.
Oh, it's pretty exciting. Look at this stuff right here. They're still picking these pits. I mean, this is the story right now. I love listening to this stuff, how they're negotiating down there with everybody.
Well, the process continues. Don't forget to tune in as we will go racing later today. The NASCAR Nationwide Series at Iowa, presented by GoDaddy.com. We're on the air at 4 o'clock Eastern with Countdown. And up next, it'll be the 2008 Carolina Panthers Yearbook. Congratulations once again to our pole winner, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He's going to lead the 43-car field to the green flag at 4 o'clock this afternoon. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. And quickly, final thoughts?
75 degrees and clear skies. How'd we pull that off?
And over 60,000 fans.
Another great race. You think last week was good? We're going to see 3 wide at a 7/8 mile racetrack. Awesome racing, guys.
Well, for Rusty Wallace, Randy LaJoy, Rick DeBrule, and Jack Arute, I'm Marty Reed. Thanks so much for joining us here at Iowa Speedway. We've had practice, we've had qualifying, and now it's time for the race. We will see you at 4 p.m. Eastern. We'll find out how this track is going to fare. I'm Marty Reed. Till we meet again.